Hey everybody, it's Chugga Conroy, and welcome to the final bonus video of Chrono Trigger. Let's kick this off by talking about the beta and unused content that I never had a chance to talk about otherwise. There are many Japanese gaming magazines that showed pre-release elements of Chrono Trigger. Many of these differences are very minor cosmetic things, so I'll just be talking about the ones that I personally find the most interesting. Chrono Compendium has scans of everything if you want to poke through it yourself. Some major ones include a drastically different overworld tile set, in which you see a lot of individual buildings instead of clusters of them, and this weird screenshot of what appears to be a volcanically active moon that Chrono and Marl are on. There's this floating glass island that looks downright cool, and I wish this made it into the final product. Maybe it could have gone inside the Black Omen or something? I didn't catch myself on this, but several comments pointed out that with the addition of the Dimensional Vortex, the box art was made real because the Snow Beast had that coloration in that screenshot and you're in a snowy field. And really, that's about it. Once I actually consulted my list of scans that had interesting stuff in them, I was surprised how much of this I actually got to talk about in the main release. Next up, what you see playing out on screen right now is the intro to the Super Nintendo version of Chrono Trigger. I chose to not open the series with this because I didn't want to outright spoil a lot of locations that we were going to be going to, and I felt like the anime intro just carried a lot more energy with outright showing you things that we were going to be doing. It's a great intro, and I'm sure it got lots of people interested in this game back in the day. Let's talk about an obscure sequel to this game, Radical Dreamers. Released only in Japan and only for the Super Nintendo Satellaview. It was intended to be re-released multiple times, even dating as far back as the PS1. It never happened because Masato Kato, the head writer of Chrono Trigger and Radical Dreamers, personally got in the way of every attempt due to being dissatisfied with his work. It's been relegated to non-canon material and outright replaced with Chrono Cross, which takes some plot elements and characters from Radical Dreamers. There's also references to Radical Dreamers in Chrono Cross, such as it being the name of a group of people within the game. I was originally not going to discuss this, but after a few viewers brought it up to me, I thought it might be worth mentioning since I'd probably have no other opportunity to talk about it. Chrono Trigger itself also had additional content for Satellaview owners, such as character bios and monster information. All of this to this day remains untranslated and unknown to English speakers. They also released the Jet Bike Race as a standalone game with leaderboards. There was even a satellite broadcast of the soundtrack, which was the first time the general public ever heard Singing Mountain. While this is playing out, I want to talk about the PC version. Everyone's heard about how botched the initial PC release was. It's a port of the mobile version, which was in turn a port of the DS version. The graphics were all grossly smoothed out, it had many tiny little problems. They patched lots of things over time, and I still stand by it being a decent version of the game, but it's still not in the best shape. There's reasons why I didn't choose it, and I'm here to tell you how it's still very flawed and why I personally didn't pick it for this Let's Play. Some graphics were made pixel perfect again, but others weren't, and it's inconsistent. How bad is it exactly? Well, let's go through some examples. The title screen. The pendulum is out of sync with the audio. Everything about it is smoothed out, including the logo when it comes up. The title screen is one of the best things in the game, and they got every single thing wrong. You can't get a much worse first impression than that for super fans of the original. The game's intro sequence from the Super Nintendo version was put back into the game, but it has bug screen transitions where the screen flickers and the sprites freak out for a moment before it fades out. The transitions also go too fast due to faster load times, so the intro cuts out before the theme song is done, right before its amazing tension and release. The overworld and big open areas are actually widescreen now, and some overworld graphics even got redrawn to fit the higher resolution, which is very cool. But unfortunately, most areas aren't widescreen due to the playing field not being expanded to accommodate, so it's frequently not cool and looks the same as the DS version anyway. The options menu has been greatly stripped down with no ability to customize the text speed or the menu boxes. The anime cutscenes are the least compressed of any version, which is great, but 2 anime cutscenes that are in the PS1 and DS versions are inexplicably missing. There's no reason why this should be the case either. I've had comments from people asking why they didn't get an anime cutscene when I did and if it had to do with decisions they had made. Well, it is. It's tied to your decision to play the PC version. As I've said many times, the bestiary from the DS version is missing. It's very minor and certainly not all players would use it, but why remove it? It's text that's already written. One thing the PC version actually improves is the ending log. It lets you review endings and customize things such as the epic being there and not being there, among other things of that nature. This is a good improvement. A+, should have been like this in the first place. These last few points were things that were fixed, and I don't hold them against the PC release anymore, but they're just so bad and I don't see them talked about enough that I just have to bring them up. For one, the word emoji in an official release of Chrono Trigger is repugnant to me. Second, they actually managed to botch something as simple as save points. They programmed them as solid objects that could not be walked through due to the port being designed for a touch interface. That's understandable, but for no good reason, they could only be interacted with from the top. That means that there were multiple save points that were impossible to use, just because they had something blocking their top side. There were 2 in a row in the Guardia Castle dungeon, meaning that dying to the dragon tank would send you back to the last time you saved before even the trial scene had taken place. That's a fight I could potentially see a first-timer not figuring out right away, too. The worst part was, before patch 4.0 came out, they said it would be the final update, and they released it without it fixing this. Thankfully, a few days later, they surprised us with a 4.1 patch and did fix it. With that all done, let's go into the game itself. Chrono Trigger's anti-piracy checks are pretty funny, as were a lot of games released around this era. They check to see if the memory exceeds what size it should be every time you go through a gate, meaning that if it detects a pirated copy, the time travel animation loops forever with the music looping perfectly. This song should sound familiar. Appears in a Sierra-published Hobbit game for the Game Boy Advance that was released in 2003, meaning that it debuted in a commercial product in this before in any release of Chrono Trigger. It seems someone on the dev team was just very into Chrono Trigger and included it as a reference. I knew that if I was choosing the DS version over the Super Nintendo original, that I would have to include tons and tons of quotes that were very memorable to players of the original version, because I agree, having played through it myself, there's some real great ones in there that I am kind of sad aren't in this version. Some of them should have been replaced because they were unintentionally very funny in places where they shouldn't have been, but the original has a great script as well. And there is one utterly inexcusable one that I missed. Your death was owed to weakness. You got whacked because you're weak. Just the apostrophe "cuz" coming out of Magus's mouth. What a cheesy line. A final point about the Lost Sanctum that I want to talk about is the new Guardian might have been a reference to the Chrono Trigger OVA. In the credits scene, it shows a new emerging from the ground like Lavos, and it's able to use that fire attack that we only ever saw Lavos use otherwise. I don't know if it was an intended reference to make some dark, ultimately powerful new do the same thing that Lavos does as a reference to this, but it might be, and if so, that's a nice touch. Something that a lot of people asked for was for me to go back and do the fight with Lavos, ending Phase 2 with each and every party member to show their different text. These give a lot more insight into what Lavos might actually be, and everyone has different reactions to finding out what he is. It's a great detail that encourages replaying of the final boss, which, in a game like this that has so many endings that demand you fight it each and every time to see them, Yeah, it was definitely good to have something like this. So let's go through those one at a time. Amazing. It possesses the DNA of every organism that has ever dwelt on this planet. Ayla no lose! At last, you meet your end, Lavos. Cyrus, stand with me in this battle. Wait a minute! Falcon Strike works on all 3 parts of this fight? I knew it would work on the arms, but... Serious? His head's not even close! I know the head barely takes any damage in this phase, but... That's amazing! Falcon Strike is even better than I thought it was, and I already used the crap out of it all playthrough. I don't think we ever saw Lavos use Flames of War in the first battle. It's a single target fire attack and honestly his least exciting move of them all. But hey, any information about Lavos, I'm sure somebody will find a theory in. Aw, Magus found another way to have a good time when he's trying to murder us. Specifically Frog. I mean, I could have told you that. That was Lavos' goal. Storing and analyzing the genetic code of every creature on the planet. He aimed to use it all to induce self-evolution into the ultimate form of life. His offensive capabilities are incalculable. My sensors are overheating. Ayla no run, hate lose, hate run more. I was given life by human hands. But life is life. I am no different from Luca and the others. This planet is my home. Ayla no lose. This Ayla home. Not Lavos home. Lavos lose. So, since the dawn of time, it has slept underground, guiding the evolution of this planet's life toward its own foul purpose. Such a vile being. We do not live for your ends. Ayla no run. Hate lose. Hate run more. We were but sown for him to reap all of humanity. Or rather, all life on this planet. Murderer. Will not be used by the likes of you. I hate to be that guy, but in the original translation... Magus's line is very different, and I'm willing to bet that many of you fought Lavos with Magus in the party because it just kind of makes sense from a narrative perspective for him to be involved in the big battle. Magus makes it sound as though Lavos was masterminding all evolution on this planet and is the entire reason that humans exist at all because it created us. That's not really what it is. It's just merely that it's allowed the planet to live on so that it could steal the genetic information and thus copy it all down by... I've always kind of interpreted it as you rejoin with the Earth at the end of your life, that would be when Lavos would actually have the opportunity to absorb you and copy your genetic information. It's kind of led a lot of English-speaking theory makers to trip over that line and then have to get corrected later, and it's just kind of a clumsy translation line. That's the only downside, though. They're all really great lines, and who doesn't love them? This last thing, I don't know if it's true or not. Some users brought up that Lavos' core being the right bit might have been it evolving in order to defend itself against any humans that might challenge it in the future. We all psychologically think the largest thing that stands in the middle is the one in control when that's not the case here. It's sort of a deep, high-concept sort of way that the design of this fight being a ruse bleeds into something very meta, and I like the idea. This next one is something that many people have requested. Shortly following the release of this video, I'll be making a public playlist that has all of the endings in Chrono Trigger for you to view them anytime you wish. Some people have told me that some endings are missing, and I can assure you that they're all there. You might have missed an ending by not clicking on the bucket at just the right time. And that's okay. This will make it convenient for you to see any that you might have missed. There's the attack where the center pod is not present. It is simply referred to as a pod. It is not the true form of Lavos. This third phase, with these 3 pods, there exists no official artwork that has ever been released to the general public of this thing. For this thing to exist, Toriyama had to draw this. It's out there, but it's just never been released to the public, presumably in an attempt to avoid spoilers and stuff in guides and magazines. This is the only picture of the true form that I have ever found in any official publication. It's a shame because people love this thing and have drawn loads of interpretations of what it might look like up close because we just straight up don't know. If this ever saw an official remake or another re-release, I would make it a mission to get Square Enix to release all that they have of this. I want to add that even without Lavos using the attack I fear most from 65 million BC, I still had to heal up a few times in order to do this fight with how overleveled we are. That's the mark of a good final boss, one that makes you earn it no matter how high leveled you are. It can be made easier, and we are really good, but we're not unstoppable. And that's everything. I hope now you'll join me on the one final adventure that Chrono and his friends went on together. Where else would the adventure end besides the end of time? Oh, you just know whenever the old man says, hey, you're really in for it. Alright, old man, what's the damage? Have you, by chance, observed any odd distortions in time's fabric in recent days? Yes, we have. Dimensional vortices connecting to a place with a civilization entirely different from our own. Indeed. Then it is as I thought. Has something happened? As it were, the bucket here has seemed a bit different as of late. It's still connected to the Day of Lavos, of course, but there's more. A great power flows into it from some distant plane, far beyond even the darkened borders of time's eclipse. It's a power similar to that of Lavos, but not entirely the same. A fearsome presence, to be sure, and yet I sense longing and loneliness there as well. It may well be another terrible foe awaits you in that place. If you have a mind to face it, by all means go, but I cannot say I recommend it. We have no choice. This is our last adventure. What is this place? Here, Lavos is no more. This is the future in which we've defeated him. Whether that is the future of the world from which you've come, I do not know. There are as many worlds as there are potentialities. A new foe has arisen here, in this endless expanse that is time's eclipse. It feasts upon thoughts, dreams, and memories. Do not think to meddle here. This enemy is my affair. Magus, meddling with your problems is what we do. I've not finished with you yet. Magus! I believe I told you not to interfere. Let all that once was fade into oblivion. I welcome the end of existence. No, Schala, free yourself from its spell. Please, you must open your eyes. Oh no. Isn't that Lavos? Why is Schala with it? Offensive power incalculable. We are in extreme danger. Embrace your destruction. It is inevitable. We all wanted to find out what happened to Schala. This is the Dream Devourer. It opens with powerful shadow magic, and also, if it's attacked physically, it counters with Mana Reaver. We're just gonna heal that off really quick and pretend like that never happened. So we're gonna need to use elemental magic in order to do much of anything to it. We're exceptionally powerful, shouldn't have much trouble dealing out the damage. It has more health than any boss in the entire game. That's some light magic on the entire party. Go ahead and start up an attack there, and Robo, you could take a haste. You don't have any sort of aura on you, so why not? Only 1800 damage from a dual tech there, not exactly what I was hoping for. Once the haste is sufficiently applied, I think then we can start dishing things out. Chrono, how about you go for a Luminaire? Marl, you do a haste on Chrono? Getting to use this thing one last time. Oh, it feels so good. 2100. We're looking at over 30,000 HP here. It's no joke. At any level, that'll take a fair number of attacks to chip away. Robo, how about Ice Tackle? Oh, just what I love to see. A perfect Mana Reaver just coming out of nowhere. It's okay, I'll just use my Mega Elixir. Besides, it's the true final battle. What else are we gonna use them against? Okay, maybe it's a good thing that I used that, because that did quite a chunk of our HP. There it is. Ice Tackle it is. Just so long as it's elemental based, if it's magic damage, you don't have to worry about him just needlessly stealing your MP. As you can see, Robo made physical contact, didn't get countered with Mana Reaver. That does 2100 damage, so Luminaire seems to be working out pretty well. It is very costly in the way of MP, no less, though. And Marl, I don't believe you're wearing hasty equipment, so you can do that. And Robo, just do a filler turn with Laser Spin while we're waiting for Marl to recharge. This right here is awesome! I don't know about you. No, actually, I do know about you, because it's by far the biggest thing that was always talked about in this game. It was to the point where people thought that there was some sort of hidden side quest that they just could never find. Everyone wanted to know what happened to Schala. And the fact that they added a side quest for that, it's just, that is what you do. There is good additional content in this. It might not be universally great. There are things about the additional content that I would absolutely change. But this is not one of them. It's, oh, there we go, okay. Chaos Zone Confuse. Usually when it breaks out that attack, it's now able to start absorbing elemental damage. As of this point, we no longer have to worry about that Mana Reaver because it counters with that instead. Think of it as a phase 2 of sorts. Now that it started absorbing elemental Robo! Oh, that's beautiful! I was hoping he'd get that off. That's one of the reasons that I chose him for this fight, but wow! Okay! That is just simply incredible! We're low on MP on one of our characters. We can go for a Mega Elixir. Why not pop at the end of all of nothing? Oh, okay. That's quite a powerful attack. I believe that's Fire Elemented. As I was saying, because he is so exceptionally powerful and absorbs all elemental damage now, that comes with an unintended side effect. There's 2 ways of winning this boss fight. it's actually possible to cause its HP to exceed 32,767. When that happens, it experiences an overflow, and it's oh! I love you, Robo. Its HP overflows and becomes 0, causing you to instantly win, but who needs that when you've got Robo? That went faster than I thought it would. Wow. We even had to do the dimensional vortexes before this, so we were going to have that power regardless. No. Schala! Schala? It is no doubt but a matter of time before Lavos consumes the whole of my awareness. It was I, after all, who wished it, wished from the depths of my sadness and despair that all that was would be erased. The strength you wield now cannot free me. No, perhaps it is better said that no strength can. So long as you lean upon the crutch of power, this world's sorrow can know no true end. Return to your own time now. Dwell not on this. Schala. Janice, thank you, but I am the girl I was no more. Live and be strong. But Schala, farewell. Schala! So, you mean to say that no matter how hard I strive, no matter how strong I grow, there is nothing I might do to save you? What purpose, then, does this existence serve? If this is to be the way of things, then let me abandon all that was and fade away as well. Should a part of me somehow even then remain, then perhaps that will be the birth of something new. Something with greater meaning than all this. What is this place? Who am I? What's happened? I don't remember anything. There was something I needed to do. Something I needed to find. I must find a way to remember. I will. Remember when I said that there were things I would change, but this fight is really, really cool? To this day, that is all the resolution of Magus and Schala's story that we have ever gotten. Chrono Trigger has been a troubled franchise, where even though the first game was extremely successful, sold very well received, still beloved to this day, it seems almost like it's cursed, that every time there's an attempt to continue its story, it either doesn't take hold, just doesn't work, or strangely the development team gets cold feet at the last second and just turns it into something else. This is why Chrono Cross is such a strange sequel to this game and does not directly continue a lot of things. They were going to do it, and then just got cold feet at the last minute, possibly because of how Radical Dreamers was received. This beautiful, beautiful theme is known as Time to Rest and was added in the PS1 version. We listened to it already after having defeated Lavos. I'll just say that it's a great song and leave it there. Remember when Dalton said that he was going to gather the greatest army the world had ever known, take over Pori, and then use it to kill everybody in Guardia Kingdom? Yeah? So, by saving the world from a demise in 1,000 years, we all just die in 5 years instead. Remember when I said that they ruined the ending to this game? Yeah, that was something that was retconned in later. And of course, just to add that extra little bit of salt-imbued lime juice to the eyeballs, it has to be, just has to be, the only bad guy I'm not wild about that gets to win in the end. I think it's best to just think of the and not the. Please let me end this on a positive note. This is a new ending exclusive to the DS version and onward. And personally, I think I'm just kind of happier not thinking about it. We've obtained the Dreamseeker. Dreamseeker is Chrono's super ultimate weapon that has a comically high damage stat. It adds 240 to Chrono's attack, which all that exists to do is to get Chrono bumped up to 255 if you didn't already have it. Chances are you've been at 254 for quite some time now, even if you weren't playing New Game Plus. It's very strange, but it has a 90% critical hit rate. A mystical blade said to be forged of dreams. This is the counterpart to the Dream Reaper that Magus wields. The idea is that there's duality between their weapons, and one does quad damage on critical hits, whereas this has a 90% critical hit chance. It is possible, with use of other accessories, to get Chrono's critical hit chance up to 100% if you so wish. It's not any more powerful than what we've been using, really, because it only bumped his attack up by 1, so I don't feel much need to demonstrate it. It's another one of those super weapons that there's just nothing to use it on because you get it from beating the hardest anything in the game, but at least it's not so much more powerful that it feels pointless. It is what it is, a nice little bonus. Here's what it physically looks like in case you were wondering. Gee, they really don't want me to end this on a positive note, do they? Given that I just said that this weapon was very pointless, but it was cool looking at least. So Dreamseeker is believed to be a reference to the DS. Dreamseeker, DS, you see? In Japanese, however, this reference is not existent because it's known as the Nightmare. That didn't turn out to be very positive, did it? Oh, okay, I got it. Hold on. Luigi was behind it all!